All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the AAA Amateur Astronomers Association live stream of the Great Conjunction of 2020. I'm Irene Pease. I'll be your host for this evening again. I'm just going to check on the comments. I know last night I had some issues with my sound. Hopefully, we're okay for now, though. So this is the last night that we're going to be doing this. Hopefully people have had a chance to see it. I've been locked in meetings most of the day, but I believe we might have some clear skies out there. We have some astronomers who are going to be joining us from around New York City, a couple different boroughs, I believe. And I don't have a live view yet, but I do have kind of a fake view. This is from Open Space. If you're interested, you can download and use OpenSpace for free. The website is openspaceproject.com. We use this at Hayden and different programs to do a lot of visualizations. So we're kind of seeing, this is, I believe, set for the New York City area. We wouldn't see the Milky Way like this over New York City as the sun is setting. But if we kind of turn off some of these are the planets of the orbit, or the orbits of the planets that we're seeing. We kind of turn those trails off and on. And right up in here is where we would be seeing Jupiter and Saturn. So they were at their closest yesterday, and today they're just going to be a little bit further separated, so not too much further apart. If you have any questions, feel free to ask as we're waiting for some of our astronomers to pop in. I'll go ahead and maybe just throw a different view in from Stellarium. Or actually, while we're here, let's just go ahead and take a look at a 3D view because it's something we can do with OpenSpace. So I'm going to kind of zoom out away from the Earth and just kind of focus on the sun. And we can kind of see what's happening with the alignment, with this syzygy right now. Chris is down in Bonaire, so we did some public sighting last night, collected some wows. That's great, Chris. I'm glad you were able to share that, and thanks for joining us. And I don't know if you have hopefully better weather out there than we've had here. So it looks like we have some of our astronomers in, some folks that you might recognize from previous evenings. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in bring this part out. And hi, I see Stan there. Is that John also? I can't
It's
see.
Bart.
Bart.
Bart, yeah.
Bart.
We got John Bills with his big telescope.
There we go. So we have the crew. And where are you guys?
We're down at Pier A in Battery Park, and we're looking at a sky full of clouds, unfortunately, as you can see behind us. A nice sunset in the Statue of Liberty, but unfortunately, we've got some clouds. John's here with his C8 looking up at where the moon should be, and it's covered, of course, by clouds. We got a pretty good crowd down here. Looks like about 6, maybe 7 AAA observers with some telescopes, cameras, and assorted family and friends.
All right, and everyone's impossible to identify except by their voices, right? So as astronomers, we're used to identifying each other in the dark by voices and by what size and shape of our telescopes people have. So I don't really know what most of you look like in daylight anyway, right? So what gear do you have there, Stan?
Oh, sorry, what was that?
What gear do you have? Because you usually use, do you have a telescope or a telescopic view that you're looking through?
I've got a camera and a telephoto lens set up. Bart's got his
one of my antique refractors.
One of his antique refractors set up. We've got a kind of an assortment of telescopes here, which is nice. Various views and a nice. Actually, another. The sunset keeps going on behind the Statue of Liberty, only because there's a layer of clouds. So, so far from the battery, not so great.
Yeah. There's some people asking on both Facebook and YouTube if the public can join. Can the public join you?
The public can join. John's going to have his computer set up so that people can take a look at it, what is a live view on his computer of what he's seen through the telescope. And so we won't have people looking through eyepieces, but we could have people looking at John's computer monitor.
I'm okay if you want to look through my eyepiece.
Bart says we could if people want to look through his eyepiece.
Yeah, they'll get real photons.
Okay, so it's kind of as the observers see fit. So again, keep in mind we're trying to keep everyone safe and healthy for the holidays as much as we can. So so it's great that John has that view. So if people are on their way to Battery Park and want to head over, how late do you all plan on sticking around there, just so we give people an idea if they want to head over?
I think John and I got to stay here probably till about 5:30, and then we're going to move to another location just for some photographs.
Okay.
And I think how long are you going to stay?
Yeah, about 5:30, 5:45.
Okay.
Yeah, 5:30.
So about 5. So in the next hour or so, if anyone can get there within the next hour, you might catch them. If not, you'll be chasing them all over Manhattan tonight. Right. So if you're near Battery Park, want to head over. Again, we just want to keep people safe. So so John has the view. You don't have to touch anything. No eyepieces involved. Just to kind of look and see the view of the clouds through that. And Bart has a view of clouds through an actual telescope. Can we just see? Can we show off Bart's antique telescope? One of multiple that he has. It would be great to have a view of that. This beautiful photon collector. That
sure, definitely. Let me take a walk over to Bart's telescope.
Right.
And let's see. I'm not sure how to reverse the camera, but
you can just turn around. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Oh wow. So, Bart, how old is that one?
So this one's 1902, and it is made in Pittsburgh in 1902. That gives awesome images. It was owned for a while by the British Astronomical Association, and they gave it to me as a gift. And it probably had 2,000 or 3,000 New Yorkers look through it since I've gotten it. So I bring it to a lot of the star parties.
So several thousand New Yorkers. How many photons would that be?
Oh boy, I lost count. Sorry.
More than we're tracking. All right.
Yeah, more than we're tracking. Yeah.
Right.
Aside from the beautiful telescope, it's got a beautiful wooden tripod along with it.
Yeah, got the original tripod and the original optics. The glass doesn't go bad.
That's incredible. So glass doesn't go out of style. It doesn't go bad, especially the smaller pieces of glass, not the huge pieces of glass. It doesn't get deformed or anything. And you just throw that in a backpack and carry it around on the train, right?
Well, this one's a little bit too big for a backpack, but you know, it's easy to put in the car. And like I said, we take it. You know, we've had it up on the High Line many times, and we've had it at Floyd Bennett Field and a number of other Lincoln. I think it's Lincoln Center. It's been there.
Central Park.
Central Park. Yeah, it's definitely been.
It's been to Carnegie Hall, I believe, the rooftop of Carnegie Hall, or was that a different one?
Yeah, it's either this one or its slightly bigger brother, but one of them.
Yeah. So it definitely gets around. It travels. It's pretty classy instrument.
Yeah, a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to have.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you for bringing that out. So, folks, if you don't get a chance to see through the beautiful antique telescope tonight, in the future, when we don't have a raging pandemic, AAA plans to be back on the High Line, and Bart is often there with the telescope when we're on the High Line, and again, some of the other regular observing sites that we would normally have that you just mentioned.
Right.
We do usually do quite a bit of observing. Stan, where do you like to observe around the city when you're out with the telescope or imaging? What are some of your favorite spots?
Well, this is this is actually a good spot for photographs. After if the sky clears, they're at a different part of Battery Park. There's a good angle with the Statue of Liberty and the planets together. So that's why I like to come down here, because you can also get an incredibly good look at the horizon. Let me switch around here. We're looking almost at the horizon from here, which when you think about New York City and the ability to see the horizon, that's virtually impossible in most of the rest of the city. But here we can see almost down to the horizon. the Statue of Liberty.
That's incredible.
So that's
And usually you have like buildings or New Jersey or something in the way. In this case, you can put things in the way like the Statue of Liberty that you wanna see and you wanna image anyway, right?
Yeah. Another place I like to photograph is in Central Park. It's relatively close to my apartment for one thing, so it's easy to walk over to. But it also it's another place along the reservoir where the running track is. Where a lot of people know the running track. It's got a very wide view of the sky, and you could look down to almost about 5 degrees above the horizon there. So that's a pretty good place both to observe and to photograph the sky.
Yeah, I know. I've actually run past you there. I've not run into you, but run past you and said, "Oh, look, it's Stan Honda. That's so exciting!" So if we have any runners watching, keep an eye out for Stan Honda and his trusty camera and lenses. You might see him taking some really nice shots around the reservoir. So that's great. So I actually did not check the weather forecast. Is it supposed to clear?
So a glimpse of the
Hi, John.
Been able to align on it. Good to see you.
Hey.
Scope set up. Set up. It's in the cloud.
Yeah.
Did you see the statue? It's a beautiful sunset.
Yeah, Stan was showing us the skyline. Just a quick question. Just want to make sure we're clear which reservoir we're referring to. So there's the Jackie Kennedy Onassis Reservoir in Central Park, which is like it's the biggest body of water in Central Park, and there's a loop around it. A lot of people run around it, and then there's an outer track that some people run or ride around. But right around the reservoir, you're just right up against the water, so it's a really good view there.
Let me give you a view of John's telescope here.
Okay, and then we'll have Rory in. So we have Rory tagging in from Brooklyn. Ooh.
Yeah, so mine's set up on an equatorial mount, an Ioptron SIM 60. So it points to the celestial North Pole or close to the North Star, and then it rotates around so that the planets can stay still. For our viewers that aren't as familiar with equatorial mounts, and then this is a Celestron 8, which gives us a good field of view for the two planets, and this is an Astrocam on one side, and then this is an eyepiece on the other. So I can view it through the eyepiece, flip it up through this mirror, or if I open the mirror up, then I go straight into the camera.
All right, so I think it's a little hard to hear, but you're saying you have like the lens as well as the camera. You can switch back and forth between those.
It's like a square diagonal that you can flip, so it can flip it up to do it through the eyepiece like this. Or there's a little knob on the other side. I flip it, and then I go straight through to the Astrocam. So this is great for planets where they're really tiny, so you can find them in the eyepiece easily and move it where you need to, because it's hard to sometimes find them without an eyepiece. So the flip mirror is a great tool to have when you're hunting down planets with something.
That sounds great.
It's even easier when they don't have clouds in front of them. So.
Yeah. All right. So we have a couple other folks who are checking in. I'll maybe leave y'all to it and check back in a bit. But we have Alfredo, and I saw Rory was just in. She might be back, but we'll check back in with you guys in a bit. All right. Stay warm out there.
Thanks a lot.
All right. All right, so Alfredo, I'm not sure if you're set or not. I know you said you might want to check in a little bit later.
Yeah, I've got clouds right now.
You got clouds right now? Okay, yeah,
yeah,
we have clouds down at Battery Park as well. I just saw Rory was up on her roof. So I don't know if you can do you want to just show us what you have on the screen and maybe talk a little bit about your setup there?
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right.
That's a lot of windows.
Yeah, so
so where are you, and what is all this?
So I'm upstate Connecticut, and I have currently 2 telescopes on the same mount, pointing to where Jupiter should be, and both of them have clouds. So this is the smaller scope, and you can see here. You can see the clouds moving. You can see the clouds moving by. And then I have a bigger scope, which is this thing here. And this is an astrophotography program that basically I use for capturing, like long exposures. But I'm just using it right now to try to see if I have Jupiter in the frame. But as you can see, that's all clouds there. Right.
Okay. Yeah. All right. But I can actually see the clouds moving over it. I'm just gonna add Rory in here, and I'll kind of keep an eye on it. Just holler if you get something besides clouds, okay?
Yeah. I don't know if you can see this, but this is let me move this over here. Can you see this here now?
Yes. Is
All right,
that
so
is that
this
a view
was
from the other night?
This was last night for about 6 minutes. So this was a live view from the bigger scope yesterday, and that's obviously Jupiter there, and Saturn on the other side over there. And that was a live view with the C11. So this is 2800 millimeter, and basically, if we can get anything going, we could probably see something like that. And we were shooting through some clouds, so it wasn't that great in terms of actual resolution or what have you, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, hoping for a little bit more clear. And if you want to say hello to Rory, who's jumping in here. Hopefully we can get another great view like that. But right now we have clouds in Connecticut. Rory, welcome. Where are you and what are you seeing in the sky?
Well, hi, can you guys see me?
I see you. Yeah, I see it. And that's your telescope, right? You look like you're up on a rooftop.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think I can reverse my camera to show you, but I'm on my rooftop in Park Slope, and it's completely clouded out. I don't know if you see my setup here. It's hard to tell, but I don't know if you could see the telescope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I got a camera adapter on it, so very simple setup. Very sadly, my phone is not on it because there's clouds.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if you can see. Oh, here's my trusty assistant.
Hi.
So we had to actually where.
Oh, sorry, you're cutting out a little bit. I don't know if Rory, can you hear us? It looks like the image is a little bit frozen there. We're getting reports in from Queens as well that it's cloudy in Queens. So far, maybe I'm lagging here. Seem to be having some issues. So yeah, we seem to be. Oh, I think I just heard you. Yeah, I think it's locked in again. Here, let me just try something real quick. We set you up there. Oh, hi. Can you hear me okay, Rory? And I think my sound went out.
I don't know if I lost you. I was work equipment.
Yeah, the image is a little bit frozen, I think. Let me just try something.
Having trouble connecting.
Yeah.
I think you're still
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I hear.
Oh,
I just heard. Yeah, there. Yeah, it's a little shaky. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's always the internet connections and a few other things.
Yeah.
Um,
So we're going to leave the telescope out just in case it does clear and we get a little hole. And we did see it last night very briefly, which was pretty cool. So I have a 80 millimeter refractor.
okay.
Our pretty small, I noticed. So I guess they're definitely not at opposition.
It looks portable though, right?
Quick. Yeah, it is. It's pretty portable, but going up a wrought iron ladder bolted to the side of a house.
Oh,
Yeah,
piece of cake.
it's a two-person
wow,
job.
yeah.
Let's put it that.
Be safe.
But the
Be
view up,
safe. It's not slippery, is it?
it was last night, but it was worth it because we got to see it.
I just wanted to
Okay.
do a
Okay.
shout out. I wanted to shout out to the students at P369K, the 5th grade students who have been learning about this all week. So just a shout out. I hope some.
369K. All
Yeah,
right,
so-
great.
all
And
right.
you told them
Right.
to go watch it, right?
It all week.
right.
We've been learning about Saturn and Jupiter.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I wore my Saturn sweatshirt again. I've been wearing it for all the live streams. It says 6 rings from Keith's Did It.
How's it
That's
clear?
wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I like the hat. I definitely like the hat that you have, Rory. It looks really warm. I know this week in the different streams, we've been talking about portability of telescopes and also the importance of staying warm, dressing for the weather, overdressing in some cases, because this is not a very active thing, right? You're kind of standing around waiting for clouds or what have you. So
Yeah.
I think Alfredo
And
had
good for bad hair.
good for bad hair days. Yes, that's great. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I just throw a hat on anyway. Who cares? My hat, everything. You see like my eyes and my nose sticking out. All right. Well, flag us down if you have a view. I don't know if there's anything else you want to share about like why this is super exciting for you, or if there's anything that kind of compares that you've seen to like a
Well,
conjunction like this.
for me, you know, it's, I mean, the comet was amazing. Neo
And I think you might be freezing again, but yeah, the Neowise comet that was through earlier this year. I know a lot of folks around New York City were even able to see it. It was better from darker skies, but you saw that from Brooklyn. Sorry, you're freezing up a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna pop back over to Alfredo for a bit. I think
about
he has
now.
some images. Oh, I hear you a little bit. Yeah, were you talking about the comet?
Yeah, I was just saying these events that are once in a lifetime are pretty amazing. And I've been looking at Jupiter and Saturn for years, and I've never seen them together in the same eyepiece. That's always super exciting.
Yeah, that's not really something I expect to see again in my lifetime necessarily. I have my telescope all prepped. I'm gonna run outside after this if it's clear. If not, I'll just have another cup of hot chocolate.
There you go.
Yeah. So I guess one last question before we switch back to someone else here. Hot beverage of choice, hot cocoa or coffee or something else?
Oh, definitely hot chocolate on nights like this. Sure. Yeah. You need the sweetness, you need the heat, you need, definitely. Yeah.
Right. Chocolate just makes everything better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like to spike mine with a little bit of caffeine, just a little bit of coffee, depending on how late I'm gonna be up. But yeah, hot chocolate.
Yep.
I hear
And
you there.
clouds, maybe they're breaking up a little bit.
The sunset's beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty
Woo.
sunset. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
we were seeing it. Stan was showing it a little bit over by the Statue of Liberty, a little bit. So you're a little further east. So sunset's earlier in Brooklyn, right? By
yeah,
about 2 seconds.
yes, yeah, right. But it's actually kind of pretty if it just weren't so many clouds.
Yeah. Well, I want to leave you with this. We have a suggestion. I don't know if this is coming in or not. A suggestion from Bruce on who's watching on YouTube says try a hot toddy for our hot beverage.
Spike it with a little rum or whiskey.
Yeah. I try
That'll,
to avoid that when I'm observing, but all right, well stay warm, Rory.
thanks, guys.
And flag me down if you get something, all right? Good night.
Thanks.
Yep. All right. So, Alfredo, I saw you had, I saw this image in here. I don't know if
Yeah.
you wanted to share the image of the moon. I saw you had that briefly. If you want to talk about those a little bit.
Sure. So this was, again, yesterday. So this was basically a processed image from the scope from about a 2-minute sequence of a video. And that video basically was this video here, which I took yesterday. So you can actually see here, this is a break in the clouds for about 3 or 4 minutes, which I then recorded. So you can see it basically jumping around a little bit. That's the atmosphere, and you can basically see Saturn here. This little speck up here is one of the is a moon, Saturn. This is another moon here. Titan is over here in this corner. And then you have Jupiter here, and you have the Galilean moons over here. I think Ganymede and Io, and then Europa. And you can't really see much because each frame is only a few milliseconds long, and this whole basic exposure sequence is about 2 minutes long, and there's about 5 gigabytes of data. But what we can do with astrophotography, this is one of the things we did in our urban astrophotography class, is we showed people how to effectively take a sequence of images like this and put them together into kind of a composite. So this is basically taking all of that data and then crunching it down and basically putting it in, all those individual frames, doing what's called lucky imaging, which is basically picking the best frames in between the atmospheric seeing. And here you can basically see Jupiter with the bands. Here's Saturn, and here are the Galilean moons, at least 3 of them that we got here in this exposure. Ganymede is the biggest Galilean moon next to Jupiter here, and then Io is the one that's got the volcanoes erupting stuff, and this one down here is Europa, which we think has a giant ocean underneath its 300-kilometer ice crust. So, this is, again, just this prior video kind of processed. But let me show you. So this is, again, from yesterday, where I had about 6 minutes of time to sort of put this together before the clouds came in. This is still the live view right now, which basically is telling us that we don't have anything. It's all clouds. But I also caught the moon yesterday. So here's the moon.
Wow.
And here's a live view of the moon, also from the bigger telescope. And you can see basically, I'm not an expert on the craters, but here's obviously a cloud came through at this point and blocked it out. Let's see what we got.
Yeah. John was kind of going to quiz me on my moon craters, so I brushed up a little bit for today.
Yeah, but it was also a good night. So after everything was closed, I got Mars. Here's Mars.
Oh yeah! Wow, you can even see some detail on there.
Yeah,
so that's the video, right?
Yeah, that's the video. And actually, Mars was actually the best one last night. The data was just the sky conditions were actually much better for Mars, and I actually got one that I think is even better than that one, which is this one over here. This little tiny one here, as you can see. This is about 15,000 frames. You can see it's running at 153 frames per second. So it's a very small window, just 320 by 240. I haven't processed this yet, but I think when I process this will come out pretty good. I think Mars will come out pretty good when I do process it.
Wow.
And again,
are you usually like able to see like the polar caps?
Yeah. Yes. I think, however, on this current orientation, the polar cap's behind. Here's another one, a little bit more gain, so you can see the redness.
Wow.
There. And again, this is another series about 15. This one's 8,440 frames.
Okay.
And it's again 153 frames per second. So when I process all of these, this will come out with a pretty good Mars, I think, when I put these together.
Okay. I just noticed that Stan was waiting in the wings. Stan, do you have any? Do you have an update on the clouds for us, by any chance? Still cloudy.
Yeah, unfortunately, it still looks pretty. Looks not so great out there, and we're at a position. We set up near the Oyster restaurant, and apparently we have to move. So we're kind of John and we're trying to pack up his equipment.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't look so great. It doesn't look so great down here by the battery. So if you're heading down here, you might want to change plans there.
Change plans. All right. So maybe not Battery Park. We're having to relocate. That's our update. Is Bart breaking down the antique as well?
Yeah, because we're kind of in this pier that's right next to the restaurant, and I guess it's not technically part of the park. So,
okay.
But we just really need to move about 50 feet, and we're okay. The problem still is the clouds, though. Unfortunately, we got a pretty solid cloud layer right above us.
Okay. I'm hoping this is still.
Am I still on? Am I still
yes.
on?
Yes. Yes, you are still on.
I just want to point out.
I'll sign off for right now, Ari.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Dan.
I just want to point out something kind of neat. So basically, if you're looking through a telescope, right, this is actually the apparent size of these planets when you look through a telescope. So this is obviously a relatively large telescope for amateurs. But the funny thing is, if you look at Mars, remember everyone talked about the Mars opposition earlier in the summer, right? Mm-hmm. So when Mars was closest to the Earth, the actual size of the disk was about the same size as Jupiter. So you could actually see how it shrank. You can actually see it's continuing to shrink. It'll actually get about half this size as it goes away from the Earth.
Oh, yeah.
But it's an interesting kind of thing to remember about, just the relative size of the planets when you look through a telescope, because obviously, Jupiter is always going to look relatively larger just because obviously it's the giant planet, but also because, the other planets, as they go around their orbits, when they do get closer to the Earth, they will sort of slightly get a little bit larger. And so this gives you a good sense. As you can see, Mars is about the size, a little bit smaller than Saturn. In terms
that was impressive, because even when Mars was really close, it was actually brighter than Jupiter. I was like really rooting for it for a little while.
That's right.
There. It was outshining Jupiter for a bit. And speaking of additional folks here, we have Brian Berg has joined us.
Hello, everyone.
So, Alfredo, if it's okay, do you mind kind of leave the screen in here, because it's fascinating to watch.
I'll scream if I get if we get the cloud break.
Okay.
All right.
And Brian.
Thanks, Alfredo.
Thank you, Alfredo.
No problem.
Brian Berg, our AAA president. So welcome, Brian. What do you have for us? I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and make you big for a little bit here.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm going to pop this one out for just a moment while you're speaking, and we'll pop it back in. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. How have you been enjoying the conjunction?
I have been enjoying it. You have been doing a fantastic job as a host.
Thanks. Trying. Yeah, yesterday from work was a little bit hairy. There's a bit much going on there, but we survived somehow. Once we got the sound working, sound is
once it was
once people can hear me and not just see some person in a mask, right? Yeah. So have you had a chance to see it? You were out at, I think, one of the viewing sites earlier this week.
I've seen it twice. So I was there on Friday with Tom and Faisal and a few other people. And Friday night was just absolutely beautiful. It was just perfect skies. It was pretty interesting. I live probably about a 40-minute walk from Brooklyn Bridge Park. And I walked down there, and as I left my home, the skies were just fully clouded over. And as I was walking to the park, the clouds were just disappearing. I wish I could say that it was, my effect on things, but I think we just got fortunate. And by the time I actually got to the park, there was no clouds in the sky. It was just absolutely a perfect, chilly, beautiful, fresh air winter night, although I guess it wasn't technically winter yet. But anyway, we had perfect viewing, and we had a lot of people show up. I wasn't sure how many people were going to be there. Because it was a chilly night, but it's kind of hard to estimate, but I would say we had easily around 50 people that showed up, maybe even more. The folks from Brooklyn Bridge Park that were there to help us, control the crowds, and people just kept coming in. It was really a great night.
Nice. And I mean, this is kind of exciting because, you know, AAA hasn't really done a whole lot of public viewing this year because of COVID. So I don't know if you want to say anything about like what this conjunction is kind of meant for the club and what you've seen happening around, like with people kind of gathering around this, or not even physically gathering, but just kind of getting excited. I know you've been getting a lot of interviews. You look tired from probably talking about it.
I never get tired of talking about that stuff. Yeah, I don't get tired of talking about that stuff. Anything that promotes science, I will talk until my last breath. But yeah, as you just said, Irene, so I've had newspapers and different TV news organizations reach out to me. I'm always happy to do interviews for anything that will help promote science and AAA. And it's interesting. It reminded me of what happened when we had the what was it that I'm blanking on it right now. What was a thing that flew by a few months ago, kind of unexpected.
Comet.
The comet. What was the name? I can't think of the name.
Neowise.
Neowise. That was it. It was
a lot of Neowise comets, but it was one of the Neowise. It was
one of those Neowise. It was very similar to that, though. I kind of feel, as you just said, that you know, people have been trapped inside for so long, and it's been a rough year for everybody, whether you've been, you know, directly impacted or not by COVID. Everyone's been impacted by it in some way, some unfortunately worse than others. And I think to have something for everyone to congregate around and to, you know, it's kind of like what I've said in most of the interviews I've given, which is I think it's nice to be able to look up and look into the universe that we're all part of and realize that we are all in fact part of this. And whether we've had the rare opportunity for public viewing, such as we did in Brooklyn Bridge Park on Friday night, or people are online for something like this and looking through someone's you know, camera phone hooked up to their telescope or whatever it may be, the fact that people can gather around to do something together in unison, without fighting, without arguing, without being biased and picking sides and all the other human fallacies, but just be able to look together and say, hey, this is the universe that we're all part of. I think it has a lot of meaning for a lot of people in this year particularly.
Yeah. Yeah. And even like, I think it's kind of fun doing stuff like this, even though like we're, you know, like you said, kind of congregating around, like even just like conceptually, right? So we have folks up in Connecticut, we've had people upstate by Yonkers, and most of the boroughs represented in these various live streams. So we all kind of share the sky. Some people have more clouds than others on different nights. Out in New Mexico, Antoine is just living it up, apparently. But but yeah, something that we all share, that we can all enjoy, even, you know, in different locations, even from our own rooftops or our own backyards for people who have backyards.
Well, but you know, that's the thing, right? It's easy to knock technology and to say, oh, look what the social media has wrought or anything like that. But then again, look what it enables us to do. It enables us to actually get together without being able to physically get together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's great. It's nice that we have this these days. And you know, speaking of technology, I don't know if it was a recording. I don't know if that was, Alfredo, was that a recording or was that a live view of the moon that I just saw go by?
That was a live view, but it just got clouded over. I'm totally clouded over on the horizon for Jupiter, but I saw the moon through a sucker hole, so I tried to grab it, but as you can see, it's behind clouds again.
Yeah, I saw it just for a moment. I was like,
here it comes.
Oh, here it comes. That's live, folks. The moon from Connecticut. The actual moon, our moon. So there you might see other moons, some Galilean moons and Titan. There was a question if one of the Galilean moons, if Ganymede was managed to eclipse one of the stars in the field of view. I don't know if that occurred or not. I would check on Stellarium. No. I might check on Stellarium.
I think that, yes, I think the poster is correct. There was an occultation, I believe.
Fantastic.
But obviously we didn't see any of that here.
Yeah. So last night when we were doing the live stream, I had my kids in there. I had a telescope I was trying to get aligned, and it was you know, all the things. And as soon as we turned it off, like we tuned off, because I think Stan and John were at the reservoir at Central Park, and so they're like, all right, we're gonna try and move downtown and, you know, go see something by the Statue of Liberty, which is where they're moving away from that location now. And so I was like, all right, I guess we're gonna sign off, and you know. And so as soon as I turned it off, it was only like 20 after 5, and I look outside, I'm like, oh wait, it's starting to get more clear here. And it was like the clearing was coming up from the south. On Friday, it came in like kind of from the west and the north. Oh, here's our moon again.
Here it comes. If we get it clear, I'll switch to the other scope. So this is the smaller scope.
Yeah.
So that's why you can see the whole disc.
That's great. Yeah. So we have like a much larger field of view here, right, than we have on the other scope for the planet.
Correct. So here's the other one. Let's just take a look and see what we get with this one. So let me just change. Yeah, you can see it. It's much closer up. Oh boy. Yeah, it looks like, oh, here.
Ooh.
Those are the clouds. Those are the clouds going by, obviously, right?
We should have. So I studied my craters because John was going to quiz me. I'm telling you, I studied so hard. My mountain ranges. I know the northern mountains. So yeah, like over to the left there, we have the northern mountains. We have between Imbrium and that Serenity. Yeah,
these are the Mary, right? So these are the
yes. Yeah. Well, my favorite are the Apennies, because I'm a big fan of Apollo 15. That's one of my favorite Apollo missions, because it was the first one where they took a car to the moon, and what's more American than that? But they landed over there in Hadley's Rill, kind of in the Apennies, kind of the south side there.
So we got it.
Yeah.
We just got it clear there for a minute. That's why it got really bright.
So great. So yeah, with the Apollo missions, I'm going to be doing another stream for a different organization, Christmas Eve. If anyone is a fan of Christmas Eve, Apollo 8 mission, that's what I'm doing Christmas Eve. You can tune in and relive that.
Did you say another organization, Irene? What are you talking about?
Another organization? Do I do something besides Amateur Astronomy Association?
Are you kidding me?
Oh, in all my spare time. Yeah, so I'm also your friendly neighborhood astronomer. So I do weekly live streams, tours around the universe, things like that. So we check out what's happening in the skies, clouds or not. And then each month I pick a mission to look at. So for December, I was like, hey, I'm going to do Apollo 8. Because the moon, I mean, look at it. It's gorgeous. It's so beautiful. But I'm also going to be teaching a class, right? So with these missions that I'm learning about, we have a couple classes. So I'm just going to pimp a few AAA classes. Alfredo mentioned that he had co-taught a class about how to do all the stuff that he's doing. I'm just going to call it that, this astrophotography and the processing, because it's so beyond me. I'm just a mere observer. That's what I do. But I am going to be taking Stan's night sky photography class. So Stan Honda, who we saw down at Battery Park, he's going to be teaching a class that's starting up. I think there's still a few openings for that. He's going to be teaching a class on night sky photography. So not through a telescope, just setting up your camera and imaging through that. And then we have our smorgasbord class, which is just kind of like a mishmash of random topics. And then I'll also be teaching a missions class, so just a class on different current missions. So there's all kinds of stuff happening in space right now. As Brian said, there's so many things to be excited about that we can all gather around as one big happy species. So I'm going to be talking about those missions. So when this is all over, don't be sad. There's still astronomy to be done, and we have lectures. Brian, do you remember what we have for our lecture in?
Oh, a big one's coming up in January. The APOD, the Astronomy Picture of the Day, is coming up next month. So I hope everybody registers for that. I hope everybody shows up for the lecture. It's usually our most popular one, usually because you don't have to listen to any science. You just sit there and look at the most beautiful pictures of the previous year.
There's some science, right? We like science.
Oh, I love science, but let's face it. There are some people who just say, I just want to look at pretty pictures, and that's fine too.
I have to say, one of my favorite APODs is a graph. It's a chart, and it's like this conversion chart. I won't go into all the science right now because we have this beautiful view of the moon. We'll just enjoying our beautiful view of the moon. So it's kind of funny. We have a gap. I guess we have a hole where we can see the moon, but nothing where we can see the planets yet. Are they just I don't know, too low in the sky? I know they're pretty low. So if people are elsewhere, not under the blanket of clouds in New York City and apparently Connecticut, it's in the southwest. It's in the southwest. I guess depending on where you are, it'll be different number of degrees above the horizon. From New York, it's about 14 degrees above the horizon right now. So says Stellarium.
So I'm moving the scope to where Jupiter should be. Let's just see if it's there. But again, Jupiter is getting to be pretty low. So I'm going to be hitting trees and other stuff, not to mention the clouds. So it doesn't look like there's anything there, which, yeah, it's probably just cloud. It's probably just clouds. So the clouds are all around the horizon there.
Okay. Yeah. It looks so dark. It looks so dark and foreboding when it's just like blacked out in there. We had a question about sharing the link. So we right now our website is kind of conjunction central, but as we're wrapping this up, by the end of the week, we'll have links to the registration for the lecture and more information about the classes on our classes page. And the astrophotography group. So if you join AAA, you can join the very, very active astrophotography group, which Alfredo is part of. Stan kind of helps head that up. And it's fun. It's really fun when we get to the APOD lecture because inevitably someone from AAA has had a photograph used in the APOD. And I don't know if it was last year or the year before, I took a picture of Stan Honda taking a picture of his picture that was up on the screen during the APOD lecture. It was like my favorite meta thing that I've ever done, probably.
And for those of you who don't know, APOD is Astronomy Picture of the Day, and it's two scientists who started it, and they basically cull through pictures that are sent to them by the thousands at this point each day by different, usually amateur astronomers across the world. And it's been linked to NASA. The site's been translated into dozens of languages. They have a book based on it. And one of those two, basically, they do a tag team. And each year, one of them shows up for a lecture to present their top picks of the year.
And last year, we actually got both of them coming because one of them came to do a real science lecture, and the other one was doing. So yeah, so I think we have Jerry Bonnell back this year.
Yep.
Very excited to have him, even if we don't get to see him in person because it's on Zoom. We have a Zoom webinar.
Yes,
right. Like this, but different.
That's Mars. That's Mars.
Oh, okay. It's a planet. It's a planet, folks. We got a planet.
There's Mars right there.
Oh, it's so cute. So tiny. So with more with longer exposure, then you pull out more of the color because it looks almost a little bit yellow here.
Right. So exactly. We can zoom in a little bit. Let's take a look. There it is. You can see it a little bit better like this. Oops,
you can see the atmosphere. Look at our atmosphere go. Just wobble, wobble. It's neat. You can actually start to see that's the phase of Mars, right? As it's moving away from us. So Jupiter and Saturn don't go through quite as extreme phases. They're a lot further out. So we're basically next to the sun compared to them and their orbits. But Mars, we see get a bit more gibbous shaped.
Right.
Not like the phases like we see with Mercury and Venus that pass between us and the sun. But Mars does get a little bit more gibbosy than the other outer planets.
Yeah.
Pretty
so
neat.
you can see here the atmospheric turbulence, right? And so, those videos that I captured before with the 15,000 frames of video. So basically in those brief milliseconds where, we're basically trying to get, the single one view, like you can see just looking at this surface feature here on Mars, it comes in and out of focus, which is just a function of how much atmosphere it's going through at the time with different air currents and different temperature gradients in the upper atmosphere. And so You know, if you were to take the urban astronomy class, we would teach you how to effectively optimize, you know, a series of videos to effectively pull out those best sort of individual frames so that you could actually see the surface features on Mars.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to stress that. Oh. Sorry, Ryan. I do have to stress these classes that we offer are phenomenal. That's actually one of the ways that I first became involved in AAA. Just seeing these classes offered at, it didn't even make sense to me. They're so inexpensive. I figured, oh God, this is going to be terrible. But you know what? Let me give it a shot. And I became a member, and I was going to the lectures at the Museum of Natural History, which is where we generally hold them when we could actually get together with other people in person. And I was taking the classes, and the classes are phenomenal. Irene is actually one of the teachers in the classes also. We have very highly skilled, highly regarded people teaching these classes. And I just can't stress enough that if anyone who is watching this, if you are a member of AAA and if you've not taken a class, sign up for a class. You will absolutely love it. And if you are watching this and you're not a member, please consider being a member. And obviously also for those who are members or not, and if you want to make year-end donations to support science or for tax write-offs or for whatever your reason is, please consider that also. But as I've said many times through the interviews that I've been giving and in my monthly piece in Eyepiece, and by the way, for those of you who have not read that, please go to our site and look at Eyepiece, which is our monthly newsletter. And I always make a point in our president's column that I speak in every month that, man, oh man, I can't imagine a year in any recent time more so than 2020 where we have not seen the importance of science. So anything we can do to support science, I hope that you all come along for the ride.
Yeah.
Here we have the moon again.
And we had a I guess a question. So let me clarify the gibbous. And yes, Mark, that's the spelling of gibbous. Correct spelling, I believe. I'm not the best speller, but I just asked Google and it said that's how you spell it. So the gibbous shape, there's like if we look at the moon right now, it's kind of like half full. When it's less than half, it's a crescent, and when it's more than half, as it's getting to be over the next few days, that's the gibbous shape. So kind of between half and full, that like not quite full circle-ish, but like a little bit squished on one side, that's the gibbous shape or gibbous phase that we can see there.
So
and Martin popped in the the link for Eyepiece as well. So thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Martin.
Yeah. So we basically now know that the area around Mars and the Moon are relatively clear. So let's see if there's anything up that we could show. We could probably go try to see something like. Let's see. Let's go look at the Pinwheel Galaxy and see if how that looks.
We can see a galaxy from Connecticut.
Yeah, of course, easy peasy.
Like I say. So as you're doing it, can I just brag on you a little bit, Alfredo? So we have these astrophotographers who, like, even from like these bright areas, I mean, it's not like you're out in the middle of nowhere, right? You're not in New Mexico, like Antoine. It's like
right
around, like literally I think I saw a tumbleweed. But like with this astrophotography, with all this equipment, and it's not just the equipment, it's also the skill that they have in processing. I mean, if I tried to process it, it would just come out like a big mishmash, whatever. It would look like tie-dye or something. But they were able to actually capture and tease out these photons, selecting the photons that are coming from galaxies and these deep sky objects, these galaxies, clusters, nebula, and make them look just incredible, like as if you'd been out in the middle of nowhere, like you have your own mini Hubble.
All right, so what would you like to try for? I'll give you three options. You want to go see the Deerlick galaxy group, which is NGC 7331, Andromeda, or Pinwheel, or do you want to see a globular like M2?
Oh, okay, that's hard. I really love 7331.
Or we could do M15.
Okay, can we do a big sparkly cluster? I like the sparkles.
We'll do M15 because it's nice and bright.
And that's my favorite.
Should be a relatively easy one to do.
Easy peasy. Yeah, so globular clusters, folks. Globular clusters are collections of hundreds of thousands, even 1 million or more stars. And it just, to me, like, I like to describe it as a big ball of sparkle in the sky. Like, just big ball of sparkle. That's basically what it is, right, Brian? You've seen them. You've seen pictures.
That is the technical term for them, I believe.
Big ball of sparkle. They're very far away because they tend to be quite a bit further, like above and below the plane of the galaxy. So not in the plane. So we're kind of looking further when we look out at these big sparkly clusters. But they're a little bit of a mystery. They're almost, some of them are almost as old as the galaxy. And as they pass through the galactic plane, they kind of get pulled apart a little bit. So we have these things called stellar streams, where you have kind of whole paths, swaths of stars that are kind of lagging and leading the clusters as they kind of orbit around our galaxy. So cool, so exciting. As you can tell, I get pretty excited about globular clusters. But I do want to. There's a question.
There it is, right over there. Let me pull it into the center here.
It's coming in. At which compass point is Mars now? Last night Mars was right overhead. I am going to look. Mars is from New York City. You want to look, yeah, basically up 50 degrees above the horizon at 136. So kind of southeast, but really high up.
All right,
that's
so
where Mars would be right now. And wow, see?
That's M15. Now let's go take a look at it with the big telescope. That's a small telescope. Let's look at the big one.
So does anyone want to know why it's my favorite?
I do.
Brian does? Okay, thank you, Brian. I'm so glad you asked. This is my favorite globular cluster because, like, you know, a lot of globular clusters, people are like, oh, they all look the same because they're just a big ball of sparkle. Not that you can be just a big ball of sparkle, but yeah, so they look pretty close together. That's mainly from our field of view because they are very, very far away. So they're still several, usually even the densest parts, a few light years apart. Maybe less than a light year in some cases. But this one, it just has a really, really dense core, more so than average. And it was the first globular cluster in which they discovered a planetary nebula, which is a nebula that forms when a small to medium-sized star kind of ends its life and puffs off its outer layers of gas. So that's what our sun will do in 5-ish billion years. It'll become a planetary nebula with just the core of the star at the center. So these planetary nebula, oh, sparkles. They're kind of remnants of like a kind of an old dead star. So you have like this kind of neat little thing. But the nebula that was discovered in here, it's called, wait for it, the Pease 1 Nebula, discovered by Pease, not me, no relation, but some person who worked with Hubble like back in the day. There's also a crater on the moon. But yeah, so one, it's sparkly, and two, it has my name in there. So, you know, can't go wrong. Alfredo, that's wonderful.
So that was a 15-second exposure, the one that you're seeing on the screen. I'm now going to do a 60-second exposure, which should really bring it up a lot more.
So
you can see this little green status bar down here. This is
yeah, the frames.
Yeah. So as soon as it gets over to, we got about 25 seconds. It'll pop a lot more once we get that.
I feel like that little bar kind of gamifies it, because if I were just sitting there twiddling my thumbs for 60 seconds, it would feel like forever. But if I see a little bar moving, then I know something's happening and that like I'm closer and closer to my goal.
Okay, we got 9 seconds. 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There it is.
Okay, yeah, that's sparkly.
Yeah, so
a lot of sparkle. Look at that bright dense core.
Yeah, that's probably a little bit too much. Let's lower it a little bit. We'll do a 30-second one. I think that's probably a little better. Let's do a 30-second one.
Okay.
And so, you know, in the astrophotography group as well, and in the urban astronomy class, we also teach you how to take these type of images and then how to process them into something that's, you know, more, you know, kind of what you see in the magazines or what you see online. But this is all, you know, yeah, this is all amateur stuff. You know, you can do this. You can do this from your apartment window with a small telescope. it's not that, you know, technology has advanced to such a point that it's relatively easy to do. All right, so there's a 30-second exposure. I lowered the gain, that's why it's gotten a little bit darker. And again, this is with the bigger telescope. If I brought in the smaller scope, I'll do that after this one. You'll see it's going to be, the field of view will be a lot wider, but the target will be much smaller.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, there he goes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
A little more balance.
All right, so let's go to the other telescope for a second here just to see. So this is the other
I
smaller
can compare.
Right.
So there's a question: are the stars collecting around some strong gravity? Yeah. So the formation of these globular clusters is not entirely well understood, at least as far as I know. But yeah, they are gravitationally bound. So they're all kind of clustered together, kind of pulled together into their own little group, almost like the miniature core of a tiny galaxy, but possibly not. So some of the globular clusters might be leftover cores from ancient galaxies from long, long, long ago. I'm gonna wave my hands a little bit there. But yeah, they are gravitationally bound to each other. So this is for the other scope.
Yeah. Oh, I blew it out again too much. Hold on a second. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's lower the gain a bit here. Let's go to 15 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. So if people like this kind of thing, we should probably do this as like a thing we could do. We could use the StreamYard thing, and we could do kind of like live stuff like that.
And people have been doing. I know, Alfredo, was it you or was it Maori or some other folks that have, you know, just said like, hey, I'm gonna stream my stuff on Zoom if anyone wants to join me for the next 30 minutes. And one night I was actually awake at midnight, so I jumped in. And our astrophotography group has regular meetups where they share this kind of stuff, usually not during the day, so it's not necessarily live. But if you want to see this kind of stuff, if you want to learn to kind of do this kind of stuff, I'd say AAA is definitely a way to go. And while it's online, it's like everything's online. It doesn't even matter if you're in New York City. Brian, we accept non-New Yorkers, right?
We make exceptions for them.
We do. We have members all over the country. So if you're interested, we're happy to have you. Probably have better skies than us. So I kind of want to wrap things down a little bit. Catherine is reporting there's sucker holes in Queens. So if you're in Queens, maybe you can see the moon as well. Maybe not. Alfredo, do you want to show us one more thing, and then I'm gonna
one last one. What do people want to see? Should we go for a galaxy?
How about Andromeda?
That's going to be too big.
Okay.
For my scope, it's going to just it's going to be too big.
Can we try 7331?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So these are kind of up. Do you mind if I'm going to try to share a little bit of something. I need to stop that share, I guess. I can only do one screen share at a time. So I can just kind of show people where we're looking in the sky and where they should be looking for some of these other things. So I'd like to use Stellarium to show some of these things. So again, if you have clear skies, look towards the southwest, not too high up. Again, just about maybe 10 degrees above the horizon from New York. You have Jupiter and Saturn pretty close together. If you look towards more the southeast and look way high up, there's the moon. And if you can see Jupiter and Saturn, past the moon is going to be Mars. You probably won't see Uranus unless you're somewhere very, very dark. So the moon is up there. Mars is the other bright thing that's up overhead. And I believe where we're looking, let me just turn on my constellations to cheat real quick. So the Christina cluster, or sorry, M15 is over here between Pegasus and Equus. So M15 is like kind of this little blob here, that blob. And then 7331, that's up in Pegasus also. Is that right? I believe if I'm the good observer that I'm supposed to be. I think it's somewhere up over there. There's a group of pretty cool galaxies. Am I off? Did I miss that? Dear lit group. Yeah, 7331. It's kind of a little group up here that I'd like to pick out. So you can see that from not super dark skies. You don't have to be like out in the middle of nowhere. I'm not sure if I've ever seen it from New York City, but when I go upstate, Fonsdock or some of the parks up there, we can see some of those galaxies. So let me pull that back out. How are we doing with the oh, and there was a question. Well, Alfredo's pulling that up. It looks like we're almost there with the frames. There was a question. I heard about the Stellarium course. Can you say when it will be? Yeah, so the Stellarium course will be part of the Astronomy Smorgasbord. So that's going to be on a Wednesday. And I believe Stellarium is going to be one of the February dates. I don't remember the date off the top of my head, but that will be posted on our website probably by the end of this week. We'll have the dates for the different topics. And Alfredo, I think I'm seeing a smudge there.
Yep, that's it right there. Right here, that's the galaxy. I'm gonna try to I can live stack it, and it will basically put together. We'll basically put together like a bunch of frames and see if this works. Depends on the on how lucky we get with the clouds here.
Do you have a cloud cam that'll tell you how cloudy it is or not, or is that just the low power telescope that's kind of updating you so you don't have to run outside?
All right, here we go. That was one exposure. You can see here we just stacked one. So as we stack more, this will pop out. We'll see the galaxy pop out. And again, we're doing 30-second frames. So each one of these is 30 seconds long. We're basically putting one on top of another. There's two. You can see the galaxy starting to look a little bit better. If we did 10 of these, right? We would basically have 5 minutes worth. It would be the same thing as taking one single 5-minute exposure.
Oh wow! And we're also hearing from somewhere. I'm not sure where this person is, but they're saying they can see the conjunction. Don't know where you are.
You have a great
anyone
screen
else
name.
is what?
Great screen name.
Yes.
Congo Blue Dog. That's fantastic. I don't know what it means, but I love it.
It's great. And there's also a question. Do the stars wind up in galaxies or are they born into them? So it turns out that most of the gas in the universe that stars form from, so stars form from gas, most of the gas in the universe is not inside of galaxies, it's out between the galaxies, but stars tend to be born in galaxies where there's denser concentrations of certain types of gas. So yeah, it's a big gassy universe really, but stars tend to be born within our galaxies. So.
Oh, that's Rory.
Oh, Rory's in Park Slope. Rory, all right, so I don't know if anyone's still on. Happy to have someone else in the stream. But yeah, so if you're Park Slope, head out and see it. Alfredo, I don't suppose you can see it from there right now, can you?
The Jupiter?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give it one last try here. My gut feeling is it's going to be in either in the trees or in my son's basketball net.
Oh, right. Yeah, we have this other thing called a horizon, and in some locations the horizon is higher than others. So if you're in Park Slope, go outside. And we're just gonna wrap this in a moment. So I'm not in Park Slope, I'm on the other side of the park in Brooklyn. So I'm gonna run outside with my telescope in about 2 minutes. Oh, okay. Yeah. So Rory brought her telescope in, but you're able to see it.
There's my there are the trees.
Those are trees.
Yeah.
Those are nice trees, but maybe get a saw for the astronomy's sake.
All right. I'm gonna sign off.
Thank you so much for sharing this with us, Alfredo. Thanks for joining in, sharing all of this. Brian,
thank you so
always
much.
good to see you. We'll see
Of
you
course.
again soon. Thanks to all of our awesome observers who've been here, who've been braving the cold all week, and our wonderful president who's logging in here and there and everywhere, just trying to be everywhere at once to get the word out about science. Thanks everyone who tuned in. Hope to see you again soon under clear skies and or a super fun AAA event. Good night, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.